Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wake Up with YPN. Today's episode is sponsored by Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. Today, we are focusing on the importance of photos and staging and all things getting your listing ready to best showcase it in today's market. Today, joining us is Tim Bohr with Pick Your House. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning, Kayla. How you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us on this Monday morning. Um, can you tell me a little about yourself and how you got started in the photography business?
Sure. So to try to not make it a super long story, because we don't want to do that. Getting into real estate photography was a complete accident. I've owned a couple businesses. I was at a realtor's house with my drone back in 2019. Took some pictures of the pool where we were hanging out at, and took some pictures of her house while I was up there. Didn't know anything, and she said they were better photos than she was used to getting for listing photos. And so one thing led to another, and we ended up developing a business strictly geared towards real estate media and helping agents do better at that. So,
Yeah, I love that. That's one of those happy accidents that life throws us, and here we are. Um, so how long have you been doing home photography? How long has that been going for you? A few years,
um,
right?
yeah, I'd say we started just before COVID.
Yeah, so that brings up a good point that the pandemic and recent technology has really changed what agents and sellers are using and expecting when a home gets listed, right?
Yep, totally.
So photos, let's start there. The most, basic MLS requirement or that sellers want is photos. What would you say to an agent getting in the business or wanting to best present their listings? What should they do to be prepared for that photo appointment?
So that's a really good thing to touch on, because obviously, we come in with our cameras and do our magic, or you have someone come in and do that. But what you do beforehand is very important. And I would say even before you talk about what to remove or how to set the room for the photos, I think one of the most important things an agent can take away is that you need to be there to confirm that whatever you wanted done was done, or somebody needs to. I mean, I'm sure Kayla, you can relate to this too. The number of times, we've shown up at a house where it's been a disaster, and the agent said, "Oh, they told me it was ready," and obviously in this real estate process, there's a lot of people involved as far as appraisers, gosh, I'm losing stagers, um, and obviously photographers. There's a lot of different people that make this work, but you guys are kind of the fulcrum point as a real estate agent that kind of have to make sure that each person in there is doing their job. And so that's point number one, is just find a way in your systems of processes to be able to make sure that the home is looking the way that you want it to look. That's pretty important. But beyond that, I think, turning on all the lights is always a good thing to do. When in doubt, do that. If there's one that doesn't look right, we can always turn that off. But when in doubt, turn all of them on. Sometimes people, even if a light's not on, they might assume that it doesn't work, and obviously that's usually not the case. Toilet seats, you want to go down on those, and you really want to remove any sort of clutter. When you look at staged homes compared to a lived-in home, they're very different. And a well-staged home, whether it's by a stager or just yourself for photos, it's a lot of less is more. And so I know, Kayla, you had said earlier, I hadn't heard this said it this way before, but anything smaller than a football on the counter, remove it. So that KitchenAid mixer is okay as long as it doesn't clutter up the shot. But baskets of mail and all these different things, you want to get rid of those. All these magnets and stuff on the fridge, you can clear those off. Same thing with bathroom counters. I mean, you don't want to have all their morning arsenal of products, sitting out there. Showers, you can clean up products as well too. As far as removing them, honestly, most things are removal. Not that it's not that I wouldn't tell you to clean the windows and stuff like that or make sure they're clean, but in photos, most of the time you can't really see that stuff on the windows. It's
Mhm.
more what's in the house. And so I would clean it all up, clear off kitchen tables, really just remove any sort of clutter. The only things that I would recommend leaving are, you know, like if you're on a kitchen counter, maybe there's a blender or a KitchenAid, blend or a mixer, something like that that helps make it a kitchen but doesn't add clutter to the shot. And then the other thing I would say is you're going to want to turn the ceiling fans off. A lot of times for video, we'll turn them on, but for photos, you want to turn them off because otherwise they look real blurry in the photo, and that doesn't necessarily look great.
Yeah.
And yeah, and we have a whole spreadsheet checklist and stuff too that that I know we send out, and a lot of photographers send out that helps you kind of give a checklist. Number one to your homeowner, and then number two for you to kind of go in and make sure everything's looking good.
Yeah, those were some really good, things to keep in mind when getting ready. And I would echo that sometimes the pre-work and making sure that we coordinate all those different people coming into the house, including the seller or the homeowner, is important because everyone's idea of what to be ready for is different. And setting those expectations early, building in some extra time before the photographer arrives to come in and make sure those things are done. And of course, then having the lights on and the ceiling fans off. I did not know that before you arrive helps things run a little bit more smooth in case there's little things that need tweaked here or there. So you mentioned a video. Moving on to video for a minute, can you talk a little bit about how that's become a new popular thing we're seeing on social media and that people are using?
Yeah. So, and I'm glad you kind of phrased it that way, Kayla, because the way that I describe it to realtors today is, you know, if you talk to a realtor who's been in business for 25 years, you know, how marketing a home has changed in 25 years. It'd be, you know, a 6 day long seminar on talking about the different phases of that. But obviously we're here today and now. And so with what I want to say about that is that you got to think about three different aspects when it comes to listing a house, or three different audiences, maybe is a good way to say it. The first one is the MLS pool, I call it. Basically, as an agent, you list a house, you put it into the MLS, and there's all these other agents with all these other buyers that are looking for certain types of houses that, you know, you instantly get connected to that network of realtors. And that's one way that we market a house, or one audience. Number
Mm-hmm.
two is, for lack of a better word, I'll say Zillow. Hopefully, I didn't just get censored for saying the Z word in front of realtors. But you know, when I say Zillow, I just mean online platforms that people are looking at houses. So Realtor.com, Trulia, whatever. And then the third one, like you said, Kayla, is social media. And the
Yeah.
reason I really like to kind of make those three different audiences is because they're all very different. And you specifically are talking about video, and the place that video works best is social media. And in fact, Zillow, it's on Zillow or looking at homes online. That's exact opposite. Zillow actually just recently removed the ability to upload a video to their website. So they are getting away from that. And I want to point out why, because with social, well, first, let me say with social media, with video, why does video work so well with social media? You guys have all been scrolling on your phones through social media, right? And videos will start automatically playing. That's
Mm-hmm.
key, because if you just post your 20 photos on Facebook, if I don't manually go in and click on them, I'm not going to see them. But
Mm-hmm.
as video, if I'm scrolling and that thing starts playing and it catches my attention, you know, I might look at it and go, okay, how long is it? Okay, 60 seconds. Yeah, I'll take a look at, I'll entertain this idea. And that's the point of video, is you are getting in front of people who are not looking for a house, who are not, you know, who aren't wanting, who aren't searching for it. And so you got to give them something that kind of jumps up in their face and makes them want to stop and take a look at it. And now someone might argue, well, but yeah, if they're not even looking for a house, do I really want to even do that? Well, I'm sure every realtor has been doing this for a while, can give a story or two of someone who was, man, I was not in the market, but when I saw this house, I had to have it, you know.
Yeah.
Or somebody says, oh, well, I'm not looking for a house, but I think my sister's still looking to move. This would be perfect for her and her three kids, you know. And if you just post photos, that person would have never saw it because they're not looking for their sister. But the video, that that pops up and they see it and they might share that to other people. And yeah, that's the power, because everything else with real estate media, you have to engage, the viewer has to engage. I have to manually flip through the photos if I really want to. But the video, I can kind of kick back and go, all right, give me your spiel, let me see what you got going on. And so video works really good with social media. And there's a lot more we could cover there, but overall, that's why it's helpful.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point too. And recently, you're scrolling and that video just plays automatically. It's a subconscious thing where you realize you're pausing and starting to see if that video interests you. And if the back of your mind, if anyone's looking either for an agent or for a house or for someone else, or even they just like looking at houses, it's good marketing for yourself, for the home, and in general,
And
which I would
that's
I would agree.
and I'm glad you said that. I'm just going to add one thing, Kayla, is that it's not just that it helps market the house, it helps market you as a realtor. And there are definitely home buyers and people out there that if they see that Kayla Fisher always does a video and they're thinking about listing their house, they every video you do can be advertisement towards your next listing. Because I mean, let's be honest, if you were going to have someone else sell your house, if these three realtors do just photos, but this one does photos and a video, well, just trying to sell your house, you're like, well, adding a video gets more exposure. I kind of like the videos. So they may be more likely to gravitate towards you as their listing agent instead of agent B, C, or D.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And now with social media, people in the public get to see behind the scenes of what we do and see those videos and know that they are kind of becoming a little more popular. And so, if an agent wanted to put that into their business plan and budget for their marketing to do that, I think it would definitely elevate it for themselves and for their sellers. Um, Pivoting back a little bit, so getting ready, if a home isn't able to be staged, maybe it's rented, maybe there's pets in the home and a stager can't come in to bring in their own furniture. What options has the digital age brought us to be able to edit those photos digitally?
So, yeah, the digital age, like you said, has brought a lot of different things. And is it all right if I bring my screen up, Kayla?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so let's pop this up. And so one thing that's come about is virtual staging. And so that's where we can come in and take a photo of a house. And I guess I should confirm, I assume this is being like, can people see this on the screen right now?
Yep, I can see it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So we take this photo of this living room of this new construction, and then we actually have an editing team, or there are abilities for people to be able to virtually put in that furniture. You'll notice in here, obviously the living room furniture. If you look in the back right corner, you can see the dining room furniture as well as some stuff on the counters, and some bar stools and stuff. Here's an example of a bedroom that you can put in there. And a good virtual staging will have great shadows that it makes it look very realistic. You can even those clothes and the hanging from the closet are virtual. I think I got just a couple more. Outdoor spaces can even be a spot. That's the thing about virtual staging, is maybe you were able to stage most of the house, but one room you weren't able to, or maybe you have an outdoor space like this where virtually we can put that stuff in. And it can also do a good job of showing where rooms are in the house, because like in this example, this is an office that we virtually staged, but
Mhm.
you also see the bed on the right showing that, hey, this is connected to the master bedroom, or in this case dining room next to the living room. So that is some examples that people can use if regular staging just doesn't necessarily work out for a property.
Yeah, I think that's a great new tool that we've seen pop up, and given certain situations, it really is helpful. Of course, staging a home sometimes in person helps the buyer see that when they get there as well. But if that's not an option, it's a tool that sellers or agents can use. And I've also seen you before maybe edit in some, like if there's an unfinished piece of a room, you can edit that out. Or if a light bulb was burnt out, sometimes you can edit that in if we know it's going to get fixed by the seller, if there's something missed in the photos for sure.
Yep, and we can another one on that same topic is we call it virtual renovation, where we can actually renovate an entire room. We can rip the carpet out, put in flooring, if and that's if maybe you got a project house that people are it needs work. It's going to be a flip house or something like that. Well, you can use digital virtual staging, or excuse me, virtual renovation to be able to show somebody, hey, this is what could be. Obviously, as a realtor, you have to make sure that you clarify, that that's virtually renovated and stuff, but it is a
Mm-hmm.
neat tool. We actually had a house, I'll say this real quick, up in Waterloo. We had a house that was listed on the market for 6 months. It was way out of date, and the listing agent had photos on it. And after 6 months, the person turned to a new agent who brought us in specifically. We made a video like you were talking about earlier, but we did 5 different virtual renovation pictures, and it sold in 6 hours. And it's hard to tell why that was, but part of me thinks, hey, it was a house that needed to be flipped. Maybe the renovation pics gave somebody enough vision to go, hey, I want to buy that right now and go ahead and do that. So those are just technologies that are available out there.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Oh, we have a comment here. It says that we love how this gives an option to help buyers see the potential of a living space. And really, that's what we're trying to do when we showcase a home, is let buyers envision themselves there. And I know that sellers can sometimes feel like it's not their home anymore, and preparing for these photos makes it feel empty. Or maybe that they really love that red wall, but we come in as agents or stagers or photographers and say like, hey, that red wall is awesome, but if we were to pare it down a little bit, or change it, or pair some other things with it, it might appeal better to the masses, because that's really who we're trying to reach. And it can be a tough thing getting ready to sell it and coach our sellers and homeowners into that. But once we have people like you as a photographer, or our staging partners, um, all of those people work together to accomplish the same goal, and we can pick up little tips and tricks along the way to help people get more prepared. What would you say, as we're getting into a little bit of a different market and homes are lasting slightly longer on the market, and we're seeing a season change? What would you say if I listed a home in the fall where the trees are really, vibrantly orange and it's beautiful, but we're coming back into the spring market? What options are out there, either to revisit the property or to retouch them just so it's seasonally appropriate?
Yeah, I think what you're trying to accomplish in that type of situation, Kayla, is you want the media, the photos, definitely the photos, but the media in general, you want it to reflect the current season,
Mhm.
and so having snow in a photo right now is not a bad thing. It's a great thing because it tells them that, hey, this was listed recently. If it looks like it's bright summer outside, then the mindset of some people is, why is this sitting on the market for so long? What's wrong with it, right? And so a couple different options you have. A lot of photographers offer a property revisit for a reduced cost. A lot of times, about half the cost, they'll come out and maybe take new exterior photos for you. A lot of times, the interior ones don't necessarily need to be taken. Sometimes they do. But you can do that. And I don't know if everybody has this. I know we have a specific digital product called Season Swap that we can take a photo that's full blown in the winter and actually digitally convert it to make it look like it's taking in summer, or vice versa. And yeah, and so one of those two options can be a great thing to basically just to eliminate any negative perceptions a potential buyer may have.
Yeah, especially if the property is potentially relisted, like you said, we can keep those photos current so it accurately reflects, what time of year we're in and what the home is. And I would say, you know, having a photographer back to update things if the seller or homeowner does anything within the home would be good to update even just those rooms if that red wall were to disappear, or if
Yep.
you know any sort of fixtures were replaced or taken out. And I know it can feel hard when we say keep it accurate to what the season is when we're digitally redoing these photos, and it is important if you're going to digitally edit something to let the buyers and the other agents know, maybe in those remarks section, that some of the photos were edited But in this day and age, we have these tools available to help promote these properties and let buyers see their fullest potential and best potential. Because we all know that when a home is photographed and then you go, it can always look slightly different whether the photo is edited or not. But it's a very good tool to use.
100%.
Do you have any other things to add? I don't think we have any comments yet, which means you've done great at answering all of these questions and helping to educate our members and viewers. And if you are watching this live video after we have stopped going live, feel free to still put your questions in the comments, and we will get with Tim or get back to you on those answers, because we really want to make sure that you feel like you're well equipped to handle all of your listings that you're going to have in the next new year.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So one thing I would say beyond, I guess, we obviously talked about photos, and truthfully, I think today photos do have a positive effect, but I actually think it's one of those things where it's more, if you don't do good photos, it's more of a negative effect than it is a positive effect. And it's just like when you're on eBay, if you're going to try to find something off eBay, right? And you got two identical listings, everything's the same, but one, the person just made to get the lights on when they took the photo. It doesn't look like it was taken with a cell phone from 2008 or something. For whatever reason, we trust that one more than the one that was taken with the crappy 2008 cell phone photos. And they might be identical. The crappy photos one might even be better, but it's just when it comes to good images, if they don't have them, we subconsciously don't trust, so I think it's more of a negative effect that you don't want to have than it is a positive effect. And then you mentioned video. The other thing I want to mention is I talked about looking at houses online, and the things that work out really good there are floor plans and virtual tours. And I know we've got a number of services. There's actually ones that you can use to boost your listing on certain results or on certain house search websites as well too. But here's the thing: is that photos, yes, they can show what's in the room, but they don't show the layout of the house. And so that's where you get a floor plan or a virtual tour that can really help do that. And remember earlier when we were talking about MLS pool, social media, and then Zillow or looking at homes online. Here's the unique thing about this one right here is these are people that are looking for homes. And for those people, video's not the best thing. Video's not negative for them, but it's not the best thing. The best thing for them are floor plans and virtual tours. And I want to be respectful of time, but Kayla, can I take 60 seconds and share my screen again one more time?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So let me.
I'm so glad that you added in the floor plan comment. I'd wanted to touch on that, but I kind of grazed over it when we did. So thank you so much for bringing that up as a tool that we're seeing. And I think it's important that you mentioned that is something that we can add into the MLS pool to syndicate out to those third-party sites to get in front of the buyers so they can get an overhead view of the home.
Absolutely. And just real quick, virtually you can remove stuff as well too. So we forgot to mention that. This homeowner put all their stuff in one spot. We can remove it for them. But in regards to floor plans and virtual tours, first of all, if we go to virtual tours like these, these allow you to go through and connect and look three-dimensionally at the house. And when you go back here, the floor plan, again, there's technology today where you can actually get a virtual tour and a floor plan, and you can sync them up together, which is a really useful tool for someone who's liking the house. They just want to explore it on their own. And
or maybe they're out of town and they can't make it into town, this week, and they want to know whether it's a good enough contender to get that plane ticket and come in right away to see it.
You're exactly
right. It's a really
right.
good tool.
Yep. And because these are, they're in the control, like when they're looking through these virtual tours, they're clicking around. It's not somebody like in a video. We're obviously trying to highlight the good parts of the house, but with this, they get to see everything. It's a very transparent process. And so that's why a lot of houses can get bought sight unseen. And then with floor plans, the last thing I'll wrap up with, this is an example of a floor plan. And there's also technology where you can attach the photos to the floor plan.
Mm-hmm.
So someone
Hey,
can
if
go
you want
through
to go
this.
see the living room, click here and see these living room photos so you can really get oriented with the space and the flow of the home.
Yep,
It's a really good tool.
100%. Yeah. So those are all really, really good things that that are just different. And again, I guess the main thing with that is just that they with the video, that's somebody who's sitting back saying, entertain me, show me something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Virtual tours and floor plans are people that are saying, I'm a qualified, interested person. I want to be able to take my tour from my house, from my computer.
Yeah, we have
And yeah,
that's a great way to kind of figure out what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what that specific um, tool will say to the buyers, and which pool of people you're trying to get. Hey, what are your thoughts on drone shots? We have a question from one of our viewers.
I just saw that, and I'm gonna share this one last time. Well, hopefully one last time. Um, Again, I just want to be respectful of your guys' time.
Yeah.
You know, as far as your question about drone shots, here's what I will say is I think drone can be really good if you're trying to show some things from above, and you know, like obviously this pool. These are all examples of great drone shots. But here's where I think, as realtors, how much does location affect everything about your listing? I mean, does it affect the price? Does it affect who you're marketing it to? Location is a big determining factor, right? And so with drone shots, I know we specifically really try to do like what you see here, where we want to show you that, hey, Linmar School is right here. That, hey, this is a private neighborhood, you know, kind of off by itself. Hey, here's Hunter's Ridge Golf Course, and here's the house. And so, yes, drone shots can be very, very good. This one's Coralville. I forget what's over here. Or showing, you know, lot sizes, stuff like that. Technology where you can draw the lot lines. Those are all examples of drone shots and how those could be very beneficial. But to answer your question, the guy that asked that, yes, showing it from above and then showing what it's in relationship to. And in fact, last thing I'll say about this is today's world, you have to communicate everything visually. Meaning that you know, I recommend writing good descriptions for the properties, no doubt. But if you write, hey, it's nearby such and such, there's a certain percentage of people that will never get to that description. But if you have a drone shot that shows the house and then the school is 2 blocks away, they visually see that where they might not have verbally read that in the description.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. We definitely want to keep our remarks accurate and good and all of that. But if we can show versus tell, it'll help buyers connect and feel more persuaded to go look at that home and consider it as an option if that's something they're looking for. Hey, Tim, these have been really great tools that you've shared with us and helping us learn a little bit about how the marketing of homes has shifted in the last few years and some new digital tools that we can provide for ourselves and our sellers throughout the process. Thank you so much for joining us. If anyone has any questions for Tim or us at Wake Up with YPN, feel free to put them in the comments and we will get back to you. But other than that, we hope you have a great week. Stay warm out there. I know it's supposed to get cold and snowy. And I'm wishing you all the best for the rest of the year and in 2023.
Thanks, Kayla.
Thanks for joining us, Tim. Have a great day.
You too. See ya.